Okay. Hey guys, Bolt here. Very quick video. I wanted to give you guys something because with Foxymations using AI, well, allegedly using AI over text-to-speech for his newest content, I wanted to give you something, at least something else than Nancy Drew. And then also, we were supposed to do the Finance Freeze theory for the timeline, but I'm on page 3 of 5 that I was tearing away from this, and I'm only on Finance Freeze 4. We're gonna have a huge problem. So basically right now I'm going through the games. Every little piece of evidence matters, because there's only one retcon, which is I'm pretty sure based on everyone else is saying that William being arrested, charged and convicted. We see in Silver Eyes that he is arrested, but because they hide the bodies, that he cannot be convicted or charged, which I believe is our retcon because Finest Freddy's 1 was self-contained at the time, which is another idea where I'm looking at what Scott says in his interviews where he makes them in segments. Okay, so Finest Freddy's 1, dying game developer. Here's one game. I didn't know it was going to be doing good, so I'll make some sequels that add on to the story. 2 what had elements for 3 in case 3 could happen, but 3 was the final chapter at the time and gave up everything that was big and needing, and all the pieces were there by Finance Freddy's 3. Finance Freddy's 4 was a reaction to Finance Freddy's 3 not being as scary with the jump scare and stuff. And then I think Finance Freddy's 4 is what made it to where the games needed to be more than that. While the final final chapter, I think, was made with teasers that Bite of 87 was the original intent for the game. Bite of 87 being the main story with all these nightmare animatronics being the new scare, and then having little extra things so that almost everything is put to bed. But then it's like, okay, I want to add more. I want to make it the Bite of 83, but I think Dream Theory has something to do with it. A lot of people say Dream Theory doesn't exist. There's too many details that make no sense, and I am not a believer of the God-child theories. It's very hard to say that some spirits influence others or other beings, especially when it's something like Springtrap, where it's just like he still gets influenced by the dang AI of his own suit. We'll get into that during the actual main theory, but God child theories, throw them out the window, and then I think it turned into being a part of the main theory, which I think Matt Pat now thinks. Well, Matt Pat at the very end thought he was wrong in, is because I think at the very end of the development, it was supposed to be fitting in to the major lore, and to fit it in, Finance Freddy's world was instead of just a playing RPG, was turned into a story connection to make sure that Happiest Day makes more sense, thanks to Finance Freddy's 4. And then Sister Location was rebranded from just as Sister Location to Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, because I think it was going to be a story that was tied together with the main story because of Purple Guy / William at the time. But to kind of end with Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and basically to wrap everything up, Pizza Sim and Ultimate Custom Night were needed, and that was the end of our spiritual haunting possession era, and now we're getting into the AI era, which I don't think the AI era has had a stopping point. I think that everything that has released from top to bottom is a need and has not had more than hints for other stuff. It might give us some extra stuff from back then. It might give us some extra stuff for the future. But in the end, that is what is happening. That is my mindsets, segments, theories, the games. I'm going to very smallly look at the books for examples only. I will not be taking lore from there. I'm not saying that the Tales and Frights exist. I'm not saying Silver Eyes exist. I'm just going to use them as, hey, I noticed something in the games and this also exists in this media. But anyways, let's just get this theory over with because I have some streaming to do. So, my throat is also very dry at this time. So, happiest day is what we're solving today. And that is our biggest thing a lot of people are talking about. And here's the demographic. It is a party of a very similar rooming to Fredbear's, which I think is over here. Yeah, so there is four tables. There are 4 tables right here. 3 in a row with 1 to the side. 3 in a row for 1 to the side. And then let's count the balloons. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, actually, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So we're 2 balloons off, but you can see basically the tables are very similar in design. Once the party comes along, we can take the balloons off the table. They can be hanging and floating. And then we have the books. Well, I said I will not use them, but for example, something that can happen in the Fazbear universe is that there can be memories of the victims. So in the Stitch Race story from Fazbear Frights, Andrew, which is our vengeful spirit of the books, is basically an amalgamation, but we're not going to get into it. He touches a ball pit from the ball pit of the MCI, and it has a memory of one of the other stories for Funtime Freddy's story. And while the events look like it's going to go on to her dying, it changes to where she's able to escape and she's able to rejoin her thing, giving a happy ending to it. And the tragedy is him getting the great bite, the big bite, and he doesn't get his full birthday and get to celebrate it properly, or at least have fun with it. And the fact that there are no animatronics in sight here, and it's just the party, I think is also a part of Crying Child's mindset. He doesn't want anything to do with the animatronics, but he does like the characters. So the puppet would be our Andrew of the main games. He would bring in his friends, not the actual spirits, but friends, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, which it's very weird that if these are spirits as well, why are these not colored in? So I think that these are just stand-ins, memories, to basically these are our bullies. These are in terms of why am I getting these things? In terms of like caring, Crying Child had a gray attachment to these people. These are the bullies. This is his brother, of all things. So it's just the fact that these people, he loves his brother, but the fact that he bullies him, he isn't going to love him wholeheartedly. So these are the emotional gray characters he has with him, but they're still here to let him celebrate. And these are stand-ins for his friends, the plushies. I'm about to save this thing if it does that one more time. So his friends are here. The bullies are letting him celebrate. And then to explain these characters, we have this graphic. This is the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 minigame map. And I'm going to ignore this kid because this looks like it's the Freddy bro. Very similar like concept of design. And then this one I think is supposed to be a leftover design for Dream Theory. Or if this is a leftover from Dream Theory. One of these two I think influence our pig character. And I think the pigtail girl, which I think is Elizabeth, I'll get on that in the main theory. But I think this orange-haired, or red-headed with pigtails, green eyes, Elizabeth, but baby. But orange and green eyes is very similar to our other person here. Why? I'm almost done. And then this green shirted character with a finger trap, a plush trap, would be very similar to this. Would be a green character with something that has a bite. So I think these are supposed to be basically the people who attend his party, because the dialogue he has with them on his way home is that actually the biggest one is the balloon kid. Are you going to the party? Oh wait, you have to go. It's your party. I think these are the invitees, or invited. These are the invited. So why not say these are a part of his party? These are the people who showed up. These are the people who showed up. Here are the kids that we see. I think the blue and the purple are a separate issue. But I think also the fact that the orange characters alone is another big thing that tells that that's supposed to be Elizabeth. But, so it's just like the people who attended his party, you know, their colorations, the bullies / his plushy friends, and then just the very same table mannerism here. So I think it's just there are too many parallels to ignore in such things. So I think I solved it by just saying this is a memory of his party that the puppet is manipulating this to give it a proper ending for him to actually have his happiest day. And this allows him to pass on. But that is how I do it. Okay. But yeah, that is how I solved Happiest Day, which is just basically there's just too many parallels between the characters and the setup. And I think this is a pretty easy thing, just to be like, here you go, you know, here's how the character is able to solve it. And at least we know now, thanks to Happiest Day, that at least one character is passed on at the least. Or let's hope. If Scott says something that I don't think Happiest Day is real, I'm going to blow a gasket because I'd like to get rid of some spirits here. Because you're introducing way too many characters, Scott. Oh, and the fact that we're also gaining more victims and stuff. But anyways, that is my theories. That is my mindset for this upcoming big theory. But I will see you guys in the next one. I'm hoping this will tide you over for a little bit. I'm going to try to get more stuff. I might add little theories that solve some of these bigger points. If I am in like complete, like, there's no other thing. Because this is very obvious to me anyways. That it's just like, Happiest Day, Fredbear's birthday. Because another thing is just, revengeful spirit to this point is not connected to a party or anything, so it doesn't make sense. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.